ChatGPT versus the expert. Who is going to win with the best advice? You're going to decide. So here's the situation. I have a new friend I met while I was giving a workshop in Chicago about ChatGPT and AI and how to create your content creation and become best known in your market for your expertise. And she sent me a message on LinkedIn. Now, I did two things. One, I put it in ChatGPT to see what ChatGPT will suggest as an expert advisor. And I asked my really good friend, Josh Brunson. Now, Josh is an expert salesperson. That guy is brilliant. He's not manipulative. He's not pushing anything. He's just making sure that you are the right person for whatever client he's working for. And if you are, he enrolls you into the program. If not, at least you get a lot of clarity about where you are and what you want to do and how you want to do it. So he is fantastic with years of experience with messaging and sales and psychology and just human behavior. So ChatGPT versus Josh Brunson. Which advice you think is the right one for my new friend to act on? Let's give it a try, right? So we are here in the LinkedIn, and this is the message. I just had a moment of epiphany. I realized that up until now, 98% of my content has been created for the people who consume my services, but not the people who buy them for their consumers. For example, I focus on developing high potential leaders, so all my content has been served their needs and it resonates with them. But the majority of the time, 99% of the time, they're not the ones buying my services, just benefiting from it. The buyers are HR leaders and business unit leaders and senior executive. So I've been caught up in servicing my people, high potential, but that hasn't led to sales, just a loyal following. If I have limited time, energy, resources, and I need my efforts to generate buying decisions, do I completely shift who I am trying to reach? It seems unethical to servicing people I want to serve, but I fear the answer is yes. So here's the thing. She has two audiences, right? The one that she's catering to, she's educating, she's supporting, and the one who actually makes the decision to bring her in and speak. She's a speaker and a coach. So she's like, who do I create the content for? Which audience do I work with? Let's see what ChatGPT says. We are going to copy this part. So we're going to ask ChatGPT what to do. What would you advise this person do? We're just going to paste. It's great that you have a loyal following among high potential leaders who benefit from your services, but it's understandable that you also want to generate more sales and reach the decision makers who are actually buying your services. One way to approach this is to shift some of your focus towards creating content that speaks directly to the needs and pain points of the HR leaders and business unit leaders, senior executives who are making the buying decisions. You can still continue to serve and provide value in high potential clients, but consider creating separate content for messaging that speaks specifically to the concern of the decision makers. You may also want to consider reaching out to HR and business unit leaders, senior executives directly, and building relationships with them through networking, speaking engagement, and other targeted outreach efforts. This can help you get in front of the people who are actually making the buying decisions and demonstrate your value to them. Ultimately, it's about finding a balance between serving the people that you want to serve and generating sales. It may require some adjustment and shift in focus, but with some targeted effort and clear understanding of your target audience, you can find a way to do both. So ChatGPT's advice: shift some of your focus towards creating content that speaks directly to the needs and pain points of the HR leaders and business unit leaders, senior executives who are making the buying decision. Shift your focus to HR leaders. So that's what ChatGPT says. Let's see what Josh has to say, and let's see, who do you agree with? Listen to this question. Hey, you two brilliant people. I fear the answer is yes. Thoughts?
No, you need to know who you're speaking to but you need to understand, like, this person obviously has had that blind, dumb luck to get ahead, but hasn't really understood their core message and what they really do, and hasn't done a deep dive into how they can really help a real, like, truly help a potential client. Because look, there's people who are great at what they do because they know themselves, but they can't fucking talk about it. They can't express themselves, but they just are so passionate that they get the results. And then everyone need to talk to him. You need to talk to him. They create a loyal following, but because they're so good at what they're doing,
Well, this lady wrote a book. She's doing leadership. What?
Don't give a shit. I don't care.
She does leadership education. She is the founder of the Brave Leadership University and has more than 20 years experience in front of groups and audiences of all sizes, been leading the development program worldwide around authentic leadership, purpose, presence, influence, stuff like that. So she says that the people who bring her to the B2B, she's in a B2B market, the people who bring her in are the HR people, but the people that would listen is the people that she created the content for. So should she start writing content for HR?
She needs to start writing content to speak to the people about. Again, this goes right back to not knowing yourself, like who you really are, to accept what you can accomplish for people. Okay, so when you're honest and real with yourself, you can look at the good parts and the bad parts. Okay? And understand and accept the good parts and the bad parts. Someone like this has had the luck and makes a paycheck here and there that tides them over, but hasn't really put in an effort to understand what they're really good at, because they're so desperate to make a sale, they're willing to do anything and say anything. So now they're so sporadic in what they're doing. Do you follow?
Yeah, I don't think that's her though.
It is her by her comment, because she talks about how she has a loyal following. She's done this, she's done that. Her book and all this other stuff, the way she talks about it, I have 20 years experience or whatever, is just trying to give herself credits or authority rather than just taking it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So she's got a client here and there and has had success, but again, can't really speak to what she does.
So if I am a speaker that engages an audience of leaders, but the person who hires me is an event planner, but the people who love and want to hear me are the CEOs, but the event planner is the one that needs to go like, oh, she's amazing for my event planning purposes. And the CEOs need to be like, oh, this is someone I want to listen to. I have two audiences, right? I have the one who hires me, the event planner, and I have my audience who loves to listen to me and goes like, oh, she's so great. She hasn't been talking to the event planners. She's been talking to everybody that loves to hear her. And she's like, okay, we love to hear you, but we're not the one making the decisions.
Okay, I'm going to
have two things.
I'm going to use John as an example. Everybody, and I mean everybody, maybe minus one person, but everybody was against me being brought on back in February last year. Everybody. But because John and I spoke and connected and were on the same playing field, he made it happen regardless. So if she knew herself well enough and understood her message, she wouldn't need an event planner, because the CEO would be like, this is who I want, make it happen. So she's not properly expressing who she is. Why is that? Why is she not expressing, like, what about message to a CEO is not like we have to have her?
So what about her message to the CEO? It doesn't resonate with the HR person. What doesn't even get to the HR person?
Yeah.
Well, but hold on a second, because if we're doing content, we're talking about content, right?
And
the content to HR see different content than CEOs see. So algorithmically, like the people that she gets in front of, if she writes to CEOs, is only them, that the HRs doesn't need that.
Again, it doesn't fucking matter, because if a CEO says, this is what I want, when I say jump, you say how high. When I say sit, you're like, yes, thank you. Like,
this is gonna be fun.
But like, let's be honest, when somebody wants something bad enough and actually speaks to them, and this is ego deflating, but maybe she's so big in the CEO minds in her own head, and that's the story she's caught up in. I'm playing devil's advocate. This is why I love our conversations, because we see both. So they're like, no, I see it this way. No, I see it this way. Okay. She, as an individual, is not truly walking them through a journey to where CEOs, we need you on our team. Because if a CEO says we need it, HR is beholden to what they want, not what their agenda is. The HR person is supposed to be, okay, we'll make that happen. Okay, we'll make that happen. A true CEO doesn't ask permission.
So she needs to adjust her messaging to make the CEO goes like, you're the only solution for us.
First step is getting real with yourself.
Walk me through that. So what do you mean by that?
Okay, stop feeding the delusion, number one, and actually break down what you do and how you do it to an extent where it's consumable, okay? And allow your passion and love for what you do to drive the conversation, rather than, again, feed the delusion that you're the solution.
So rather than writing content as if I'm the shit and it's like professional content and all that stuff, just be you, and that passion will translate to like, oh my God, she's so excited.
And how do you write? How do you write to get people's attention? It's not, I'm the shit, I'm this, I'm that. You write to get people's attention by asking great questions that get them to think. People don't act on, I'm the shit, I'm the best, nobody's better than me. Nobody acts that way. Nobody responds to that shit. However, they do see issue. Oh, they understand it because they're asking the questions at my level, right? Yeah. We did this not too long ago in a workshop that I speak at all the time. Someone asked, well, I have to have certifications. If I don't have a certification in that field, how do I get their attention? And I said, it's very simple. To prove to them that you've been in their place, you ask them questions and use the language and wording only they would know. So if it's a financial industry, you ask them using FICA, and that's a lame one because everyone knows what the FICA is. Do you ask them questions based off of their language in their world, and they will go, this person knows what I'm talking about. Now you have the authority and you have their attention. Otherwise, what happens is it's like, hey, I know financial. I watched the movie Wolf of Wall Street.
Right? I saw a few Shark Tanks. I know what to talk about.
I saw Shark Tank.
Numbers.
I saw Shark Tank and The Short, and I watched those movies.
No, and I read the books, so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know the word industry standard. Like, no one fucking cares. But what they do care about is use specific language that gets them to go, holy shit, this person actually knows something. And then that's how you get the instant authority. And then you continue to ask them questions based off of their language and the world they live in. You ask them very specific questions to get them to think. And when you ask them the questions, don't give them, like, this is where everybody falls short. They want to talk about their solution and how they fix it. The problem with that is you're flexing, but when you ask somebody a question, they have to process it, think about it, and respond to it. And when they respond, it's their awareness. So when you allow people to have their own awareness, they're like, that's really brilliant.
I'm so smart. I came up with this all on my own.
Right? And they didn't. You just supported them through the process. So if you're being real about it, this lady wrote books, bestseller, 20 years in the industry. I don't fucking care.
TEDx.
There are baseball players who've been in baseball who've never really seen action. Doesn't make them they were in a professional game, but doesn't make them like one of the best players ever. We
know a combat fighter who is never in combat.
We do know a combat fighter that never been in combat, and it's understandable why, because he's a fucking coward.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, like, do you
But
understand
he
where I'm
can
going
say,
with
I'm
this?
a combat fighter, and I'm like, I've done all these things. Yeah, but it doesn't mean shit.
You can fly a jet. Guess what? I've played Nintendo. I can too. You're that comment. You see what you follow where I'm kind of going with this?
Yeah. So she needs to do a little bit of a deeper work and come into her own. Why do I do the things I do? Why am I passionate about that?
We
What
stay away
questions?
from the words why. And what is your why? Always stay away from why. Why is one of the worst words in the English dictionary. Why and I understand. Those two never belong.
I understand. I know why. Why? Why?
Why? Because why creates instant resistance.
Because why'd you do that? Because of childhood trauma?
Yep. It brings up that trauma. It creates instant resistance.
So the expert's advice is this. 1, understand your core message and what you really do. How do you truly help a potential client? Your content should make the CEO say, we have to have her. Use insights language to get instant authority. So Josh suggests talk to the CEOs, because when the CEOs want what you have, they're going to make the HR people get it. ChatGPT says talk to HR and try to find a way to also get in front of the CEOs. What do you think? Should we trust ChatGPT with all our business decisions? Can they replace business coaches? Do we still need the experts? Do you think ChatGPT's advice was the correct one? Was Josh more on point than ChatGPT? I'd love to know what you think. Comment below, subscribe, click the bell. You know what to do. Share this, and let's see if you're on the same page.